Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Market conditions and industry dynamics are such that today people would not be that enthused about the disinvestment process that was underway as far as Air India is concerned. And of course, if we look at how various airlines are doing around the world, particularly the full service carriers, you'll see that higher oil prices, currency fluctuations, higher interest rates have sharply brought down profitability. So therefore, I think the conclusion as industry watchers that we would have to come to is that the expression of interest was not sufficiently of interest to various bidders. And please recognize also, and I think there's some confusion about this, please recognize that all we were asking for was an expression of interest. These were not binding bids. We were not even at the RFP stage. We were a long way from the RFP stage. All that the expression of interest required you to do was to put a viable consortia together and then come in and start taking a longer, harder look at all of the details and be somebody who had access to the data room.
Our feedback right through this process has been that the government retaining 24% was a deal breaker. And I'll tell you why. Because look at companies like Hindustan Zinc and Balco. These were divested in the first tenure of the NDA government. And the government continues to hold on to the residual stake that they hold in these companies. And that is why potential bidders were wary of the government wanting to hold on to 24%.
Shireen, there are many other instances that would argue exactly the opposite. For instance, if you look at the holdings that we have in some banks like Axis and ICICI, government has of course continued its passive financial stake. It has not interfered in any operational way with those companies. If you look at Maruti, for instance, where government had a stake for a long period of time, eventually government did exit from those. So obviously there are arguments to be made on both sides. At the end of the day, as far as the offer for sale, what we had put up in terms of terms and conditions for the sale are concerned, I think they were very balanced. They were, I think, taking into account all the various different stakeholder interests that we had to consider. And therefore, our objective of ensuring that Indians had an independent, globally competitive airline which could fly long haul around the world, those being our overriding objectives were fully maintained through this very balanced offer for sale that we had put out.
What now, Mr. Sinha, as far as Air India is concerned, are you going to attempt to take the disinvestment process forward at this point? Will you rework the terms that had been put in place in the EOI, or is the divestment off the table altogether for now? And my second question, and I'll ask you this in the context of what we're already seeing with LIC potentially getting ownership of IDBI Bank, there have been reports suggesting that LIC could even be brought into Air India. Is that a realistic possibility?
Again, Shireen, I cannot speculate to the future. You understand the decision-making process that has been established within government for these kinds of situations. We have an executive committee of joint secretaries. We have a core group of disinvestment, which is chaired by the cabinet secretary. Then we have a very senior group of ministers, which is the Air India specific alternative mechanism that monitors the situation and then takes decisions. So we have multiple decision layers. We will be monitoring the situation as we move forward, and whatever is in the best national interest, you can be sure that all of these very accomplished and capable professionals and senior decision makers will make whatever is in the right national interest and take that forward.
Including possibly bringing LIC on board to fund Air India. Has that been discussed in any fashion at all, Mr. Sinha?
Shireen, you're asking me once again to speculate. I've already told you what the decision-making process is like.
If this has been discussed in any form of fashion.
We are considering all alternatives that will be in the national interest, and we will take them through the process and undertake those decisions that are the best for the people of India.